Today's episode is with Ashish Bhadouria.
TCS is Tata Consultancy Services, one of the India's biggest, or now should I say, one of the world's biggest IT consultancy services. So yeah, that has shaped my career trajectory for sure. The engineering velocity is too high. Like we have too much deployments on daily basis, on a weekly basis. We do not have the security resources to actually put there to secure or to kind of measure the engineering velocity which we have. My approach would be to build this relationship with these development teams, engineering teams, but also target their pain areas. Are they too much tools provided to them, which is creating the alert fatigue for them? Are they getting too many signals which they cannot process? Are they getting too many vulnerabilities, dependencies which they cannot prioritize enough? You target those questions, provide slight improvements. There are three different layers you need to target accordingly. Engineering layer, you target engineering metrics. On the product layer, you go with product metrics. On the technical leadership layer, you talk more about cultural metrics. Have a strong security champions program. Have a right visibility across their organization, their operations. Build that security champions program, which gives you the metrics and the insights, but also triggers at the right point. Say no, you need to change priority on this one because we are seeing some trends which are not good. That yes, the any technology you create, the malicious actors grow capable faster. Then comes the defending capabilities. Now we are evolving. We are going there, and it will take some time, but we are already there.
Hi everyone, this is Purushottam and thanks for tuning into ScaleToZero podcast. Today's episode is with Ashish Bhadouria. He is a domain engineering manager for security and privacy at IKEA. He is experienced in designing, deploying, migrating, and supporting critical security infrastructure across industries. Ashish, thank you so much for joining me in the podcast today.
Thank you, Puru. Thank you for having me here.
So before we kick off, do you want to add anything to your journey? I know that I just did a 2 point intro, but anything you want to add? Like maybe how did you get into security? What excited you? What keeps you excited to work in security? Anything you want to add?
Right. Um, it's a very incidental story actually. In 2008, when I started my career with TCS, but TCS is Tata Consultancy Services, one of the India's biggest, or now should I say, one of the world's biggest IT consultancy services.
Hmm.
So in very beginning of my time with them, I was actually working for them in corporate data center, like their central data centers. So I used
Hmm.
to sit in a floor where I was in the central security team, and then there were application team, the Linux management, the messaging security, and whatnot. So the very first learning experience for me was when I was kind of onboarding into TCS, was experiencing people and my colleagues dealing with a security incident, and me being at the center of the team going through that incident, doing that incident response.
Hmm.
That basically defined that yes, this is the line, this is the the career option I want to do for entire life, and that's how my journey started. Then I evolved into building more of infrastructure security projects. I built data centers for companies like, through TCS, for companies like Nokia, Starlines, Jaguar and Land Rover, and then
Hmm.
eventually ended up working for Skype, Microsoft, Office, MS Office Group, Unity
Hmm.
Technologies, the gaming engine company, Zalando, and now at IKEA. So all the security career has evolved as the new opportunities came in, and I kind of kept taking on more and more responsibilities, more and more challenges. That's how I
Hmm.
ended up here. So looking forward to this. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great story, right? Not many security professionals would have started their career by looking at an incident response, how it was done, and being at, on the same floor as the security folks and seeing, like, noticing what is going on, and then making you excited, right? So that you can you choose that area in a way.
Exactly.
um,
Imagine this.
mhm.
You're seeing something happening in an environment which is the corporate data center environment for a company as big as TCS, and then the consequences. So the thrill you go through was
Mhm.
unimaginable, and that's why I realized that yes, this is the line where I want to work and make an impact to. So yeah, that has shaped my career trajectory for sure.
Awesome. I hope that we can get some points from that during
Sure.
the conversation today. So today we'll focus on two areas. One is integrating security into SDLC process,
Hmm.
and the other one is AI's impact on overall offensive and defensive security.
Right.
So let's dive in. So there is a lot of awareness around security as part of SDLC.
Hmm.
Shift left was a big wave. Drawing from your experience, like you have worked across diverse industries like consumer goods, software, and cloud.
Yeah.
Even today, what are some of the fundamental challenges that you see when somebody thinks about integrating security into SDLC?
Right. Um, Traditionally, security has been generally, when we talk about some of the challenges, security. If you talk to any security person across the industry, what you will hear that the security is mostly an afterthought. Security
Mm-hmm,
is siloed. We have too many tools in our CI/CD pipeline, or we have too many tools in our SDLC. There is a tools overload. Then you will
mm-hmm,
hear about the engineering velocity is too high. Like we have too much deployments on daily basis, on a weekly basis. We do not have the security resources to actually put there to secure the or to kind of measure the engineering velocity which we have. So all these challenges were traditionally there in the security security teams within industry.
mm-hmm,
Some teams have done great. Some teams have done some level of automation within their SDLC. Some people have created some standardized structure to kind of measure security vulnerabilities, security findings more, doing more automated threat modeling, creating more checked and triggers, and kind of creating a culture where engineering teams know where to involve the security teams.
mm-hmm,
But majority of the teams still struggle with the basic security ingestion within these secure SDLC steps, where to do the threat modeling, what threat modeling looks like, how do we do threat modeling which provides the value to us, how long the threat modeling should be. It can run from
mm-hmm,
2 hours to a couple of days. So how should we do it? How should we
mm-hmm,
find out? Should we plan the mitigations for threat modeling? Where should we invoke the pen testing? How do we mitigate those pen testing finding? What is critical?
mm-hmm,
What is not critical? Imagine there is a state of DevSecOps report 2024 2025.
mm-hmm,
2025. If you go and read that report, you will realize that 18% critical vulnerabilities are the only the ones which are needed, which needed to be prioritized. So these are the real challenges where people do not know what to prioritize. People do not know how to fix these things. People do not know where to trigger what security activities within the SDLC pipeline. So
mm-hmm.
these are all the traditional challenges, and these are still there in many of the security teams today. So yeah.
So we got a question from one of our common friends, Mohit Singh, in
Mm.
the same lines, and I want to read it to you to see how you want to help him.
Right.
So security teams face a lot of resistance from dev teams,
Mm.
including involved in the STLC.
Right.
Uh, like as you mentioned, right, that security is often an afterthought.
Right.
So security should be involved early on,
Yep.
but when you do not involve security teams during design discussions, or we don't do security reviews or security code reviews, how do you go about them? How do you address that?
Um, I really like as a fundamental which or a framework which Jason Chen created from Netflix. He created something called security partnership. In those
Hmm.
security partnership, he targets mostly about the security culture within these companies, within these organizations, within these teams. And that's how I believe that's the right approach. Building the right security culture where your developers, your product teams knows which step to actually pull in the security team for. Do I involve them for the security code reviews? Threat modeling, yes, that should be done. But shall I reach out to the security team for doing threat modeling and or the pen testing or these XYZ of security activities, or I can do this on my own and then just release in the production. There are
Hmm.
both of the options. So that partnerships, that culture of having the security, integrated into the SSDLC pipeline, that needs to be there. And how, as a security team, if you ask me that, how would I do this? How would I change this culture? How would I target this problem?
Hmm.
My approach would be to build this relationship with these development teams, engineering teams, but also target their pain areas. Are they, too much tools provided to them, which is creating the alert fatigue for them? Are
Hmm.
they getting too many signals which they cannot process? Are they getting too many vulnerabilities, dependencies which they cannot prioritize enough? You target those questions, provide slight improvements. Right now there are so many tools you can actually take Backstage as a platform. You have various tools you can customize what kind of security signals, what kind of security priorities, be it secret detections, be it vulnerabilities, be it dependencies, be it any of those signals you want to give the developers within their workflows where they are
Hmm.
creating their CI/CD pipeline. Let them see that information right there, the actionable actionable metrics, actionable things which you provide developers right there so that they can fix within their developer workflows. They do not need to click 10 different tools or 10 different dashboards to go out and check. That would impact their
Hmm.
productivity. So provide those metrics right there within their development workflow. Have this improved and then create that engagement that yes, you have provided with these toolings, you have provided them to improve on their security by 10%, 20%, 30%, and then you measure. Create that culture of self improvement. That's how you can target this problem, in my opinion.
Makes sense. So one thing that you touched on earlier is the velocity, right?
Yeah,
Uh, Often security teams are seen as a team of no or team of like team which blocks everything, things like that, right? Like they have that perception.
yeah,
And when it comes to bridging that gap between the velocity and the security implementation or the maturity in an organization
hmm,
is often a challenge.
yeah.
So when you're working with, let's say, leaders or C-suite, how do you advise them to structure their team or the processes so that you can achieve both the speed, but at the same time you do it in a secure manner? You mentioned about tools, right? Like having a lot of tools could have more negative
Negative impact.
impact
Yeah.
than positive. Yeah, yeah. So what advice do you generally provide to, let's say, other leaders or C-suite when it comes to setting up the team or the tools or the processes the right way?
Right. So first thing first, you said about security teams being the gate or the gatekeepers. There is a book, I'm sure you have read that, the Phoenix Project. On page 39 on there, it says that security teams are often, acting like the authority with the, flashing badges to the engineering team that, no, you cannot do this, you can do that, and so on.
Hmm.
My whole idea is very against that. People call me that you are the security guy who's very pro developer. You are anti security establishment. That's my reputation for a right reason, because I would like to say to the security leadership or technical leadership that we need to create a culture of engagement. We need to create a culture where people do not hide things from their security team. They come to seek support. They come to seek us guidance, like how do we do this thing, or we have some of these findings. Can you help us prioritize, like what comes first, what comes later? Then if I'm meeting my executives, my ask is generally that, okay, you help me decide on the triggers or the checkpoints. Like, help us decide one checkpoint before we release a new product in the market.
Hmm.
So have some security checkpoints agreed with the engineering leadership. Then you come down with the engineering teams down below, with the product development teams and the developers, and then you engage with them on the engineering layer. You have an SDLC. These are the checks you can do, security checks you can do on the engineering layer. With the product
Mm-hmm.
teams, you agree that during your sprints, what will be checked, during your sprints, what needs to be prioritized, and so on. So there are three different layers you need to target accordingly. Engineering layer, you target engineering metrics. On the
Mm-hmm.
product layer, you go with product metrics. On the
Mm-hmm.
technical leadership layer, you talk more about cultural metrics, like how many security champions do you have, how many
Mm-hmm.
security champions engagement, percentage you are seeing month on month,
Mm-hmm.
how much NPS score we are having. So these are all the ways you can create a good and a strong, mature engineering program
Mm-hmm.
downwards, and that would, of course, improve your security maturity as well.
Well, I like how you structured like in different layers, so that depending on maybe which team you are talking
Yeah,
to, you use that playbook while you are working with them. Let's say you are working with engineering, how can you make sure that you are doing the prioritization right, so that they are not looking at 10,000 vulnerabilities versus what you said, right? Like the
exactly.
DevSecOps report said only 18% should have been looked at.
Priorities, yes.
Maybe the others are not even priority.
Yeah,
So based on which team you work with, you should change your playbook in a way.
essentially.
Uh, one On the similar lines, we got a question from Vivek Raju,
Mm,
and what he's asking is, and I think this applies at IKEA level quite a bit, right? Because you have many lines of businesses and things like that.
essentially, yeah.
So the question is how are enterprises bringing security elements together when each line of business has their own preference of tooling, methodology, process. This goes back to what you also mentioned earlier, right, about the
Right.
tools and things like that. So yeah, how can you bring alignment when it comes to when you're working with multiple lines of businesses and
Mm,
each have their own way of doing
right.
things?
So in engineering circles, we called it autonomy, and people love autonomy, right? From security point of view, my approach or my push is for aligned autonomy. There needs to be some
Mm-hmm.
certain standards which each engineering unit need to follow.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be some security practices that engineering unit needs to follow, and then
Mm-hmm.
based on those foundational aspect of things, then we can have different level of maturity of security, of engineering maturity, and so on. So having some standards is utmost important. That's what I would say first.
Mm-hmm.
And you have different business units. They are doing different business. Their products have different business criticality. Their products are different. Some are customer facing, some are internal, some are not.
Mm-hmm.
Different products. So
Yeah.
the business units and the unit teams will always define the security requirements and the security priorities as per them. So what
Mm-hmm.
you as a security leader need to do or security person needs to do, align with them,
Mm-hmm.
understand their context, give them that space where they can do what they are doing, and then you improve their maturity by just aligning with them.
Mm-hmm.
Have a strong security champions program. Have a right
Mm-hmm.
visibility across their organization, their operations. Build that security champions program, which gives you the metrics and the insights, but also triggers at the right point. Say no, you need to change priority on this one because we are seeing some trends which are not good. So that way, have some of these elements in there, and then you'll have the right recipe.
Hmm. So you mentioned about Security Champions program, right? So
Yeah.
one of our previous past guests is Dustin Lair,
Mm,
and he's a big advocate of having security champions.
right.
And it seems like you are very aligned with what he was also saying, that you need to have champions in each teams, because if you are an outsider, like outside team, and you're just
Yeah.
trying to uh, push through your security agenda, then that may not fly. But if you have a champion in that team, they will carry that agenda with them, right? They will make sure that their team is sort of buying that agenda and then incorporating some of the principles that you might want to put together,
Yeah.
right, from a security roadmap perspective. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense
Puru,
now.
just to
Yeah.
kind of add into what we are saying, there is so good value in having a good security champions program, because in my practical experiences, I have learned the
Mm-hmm.
good security findings, the good security signals, the good security metrics which I have gained from the security champions has proved their value in many more folds. Like there are, yes, imagine the security incidents. You can, of
Mm-hmm.
course, get the security incidents and the security detection through the detection engineering through various means and tools. But the kind of signals and the kind of issues which you will get through a security champions, because people in the engineers know the context, engineers know their environment. When they come to
Right.
security champions and then security champions bring that to us, that is solving some fundamental kind of security challenges, and that's most value as an engineering unit. So
Mm-hmm.
so there is no value or there is no comparison to that value. So that's why every I would recommend every engineering unit to have those security champions programs already established, and more than ever now. Now when the AI adoption, AI is coming into the mix. Now you need to have those champions, which will actually give you far more value than just security champions. They need to be there, to detect those cases as well.
So yeah, I was about to move to the AI world, and thanks for bringing that up. So now we spoke about the basics, what needs to be done culturally, technically, how do you align, and all of that. Does that change when you go to AI native environments? Let's say you are building agentic AI apps. Does that change from all aspects, not just from STLC, but from a cultural perspective? Maybe you will touch on cultural in a bit, but from a STLC perspective, do you see any change in terms of the challenges and how you address in the AI native environments?
Um, yes, essentially it changes.
Okay.
There is a need to revive or re-architecture the whole SDLC for AI native era. There is a
Okay.
I will send you a picture later. There is a company called Pillar Technologies, or if I'm not sure if I'm saying the name right, but they have created an AI native SDLC called SAIC, if I remember correctly, SAIL.
Hmm.
So I'll send you the picture later. That
Sure.
that maps the current DevOps practices with the AI kind of SDLC now. So
Hmm.
when you're building the AI tools, when you're building the AI models, what kind of checks and what kind of practices will be there? That
Hmm.
is additional layer of complexity into your already existing SDLC.
Hmm.
So things have changed for sure. Things are changing for sure. It's just that now with the AI, people who want to try, engineers who want to kind of explore, this has this has changed things, very quickly. So the
Hmm.
adoption, the speed has gone crazy, and we are still catching up. So that's we as in like not only us, entire industry, in my opinion,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
security means
I
in
believe we are
the
at a
industry. Yeah,
yeah. I believe we are at a very early stage of
yeah,
adoption of AI, right?
yeah.
And often, like what we have seen with software development, also security was an afterthought, as you mentioned. Maybe this time we'll not wait for 10 years before we think about security. We start from the get go.
Uh, I believe I would like to believe what you're saying, but I'm seeing that going reverse again. Like MCP, when MCP was created, security was
Hmm.
again not thought of that, right? So when MCP happened, and things it started taking evolution, security was still trailing that. Okay, now how do we build this? How do we do this? And people started exploiting those use cases first,
Yeah.
than actually building the controls and security first. Even today, when MCP implementation adoption is there, people are building the security tooling afterwards. Now, as the implementation takes on, we are now still thinking that okay, how do we do security checking, security assessments, or security threat modeling? How do we do this for AI environment? How do we do security incident response in AI environment? These are all very complicated things, which again have to restart thinking that how do we build those things. That's why you see many startups, many companies are popping up into this space.
Hmm.
So I like to say that yes, I want to believe that security would be better this time, but historically, let's see how it goes.
Yeah, yeah. So I think when MCP initially was rolled out, there was no support for even OAuth,
Yeah,
right? And they added it later on. So I mean, I can totally understand where you're coming from and why you are hesitating.
yeah,
But hopefully, I'm hopeful that we'll do security
yeah.
better in the
This time we
AI
are saying that S in MCP stands for security. So let's see.
era. So now, since we're talking about AI and AI development lifecycle, for folks who have been doing traditional SDLC, it's a big shift, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a completely new model. So that means there will be a lot of misconceptions around how to do maybe development lifecycle in a secure way for AI native world. So, what are some of the common misconceptions that you have seen, and how would you address them?
Um, Misconception. I think there are several misconceptions. And this goes back to what you were saying earlier. This is very genesis or a starting phase of AI adoption or AI
Hmm.
as a whole trend itself. So,
Hmm.
if I give you some misconception from security point of view, people like, what could be the security issues in the AI? These are just um, prompt injections are just SQL injections,
Right, right.
right? Making them understand that nope, SQL injections plus the social engineering plus the 10x impact depending on the context, what and where those prompt injections are happening. So there are
Hmm.
various misconceptions in terms of people assume that security or the AI models, open source, MCP server for that example, all this tooling which is available, all these AI models and everything which is available in the wide open space, they're all secure. And this is biggest misconception. By default, people think that things are secure. Um, you remember that Microsoft Thai chatbot incident, right?
Hmm.
Where things started going pretty south for Microsoft's Thai chatbot. So that people assume that if Microsoft built that chatbot and that model AI model, this would be secure by default. People are
Yeah,
not
yeah.
thinking that there would be model poisoning and there could be those security issues and ethical
Hmm.
issues with those things. So
Correct.
that's the general misconception, which is I think it again. There are companies, there are people who are trying to break, and they are already succeeding at it. But this will take more and more center stage in terms of breaking those misconceptions that people will start realizing when the awareness increases that yeah, not so secure actually. So we have to
Hmm.
start believing
So by default, we are insecure in a way, and you work towards making it secure.
essentially.
Uh, so the example that you gave, right, around prompt injection,
Yeah.
the biggest difference, at least I see, is earlier with SQL injection, only a handful, like an attacker, sophisticated attacker, could do SQL injection, right?
Mm.
But now with prompt injection, if you have a co-pilot or a chatbot, any individual can get to the end data, right, by writing some fancy prompt, some way to inject it.
Yes.
So the attackers who were able to do it, now that the data set has gone way bigger in a way,
Yeah.
the way I see it, like the difference between SQL and prompt injection in a way. So now the question is, what architectural patterns or design principles that you can put in so that you have security right from maybe get go.
Mm.
If an organization is thinking about security
Mm.
of their AI workloads, what should they think about, whether for prompt injection, data leakage, any areas? How would you do that?
Yes. Um, there are bigger people than me who are thinking on these lines, but I have some thoughts as well. Like, how do we build this? There are many companies throwing buzzwords out there, but I would like to kind of keep very simple as I have learned. The defense in depth actually is one model where I would
Hmm.
continuously push people to think about, like how do you build into think about from perimeter layer, network layer, application layer, the data layer, the model layer. So these layers you think on the perimeter, how do I create the API gateway where AI aware detection models are there to detect if we are getting some sort of adversarial prompts or something mischievous, have
Hmm.
those there. Then you go one down below, like network layer, create the segmentation for the machine learning workflows, like create this different network segmentation if you can.
Hmm.
Then I would say on the application layer, you create those. what do you say, the prompt sanitization, input sanitization, those kind of practices you build on the application layer. Then you come
Mm-hmm.
onto the data layer. You make sure that you have your ethics, your privacy guidance, or your privacy practices, your fair practices, your ethics regulations implemented on that data layer. Then you go
Mm-hmm.
on to the model layer. Then you think about how the adversaries can play with your data model. You make sure that on the model layer, your testing happens, like what can adversaries can do, how to detect, what guardrails to create that on the model layer, and then you think on these defense in depth kind of model that I believe can give you some level of protection as of now. That's how I think. This
Mm-hmm.
is evolving. So the more clarity we get, how people are building these models, how easily people are adopting to this will get more maturity. But again,
Right.
defense and depth would be one place which I would constantly kind of push for.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. So you earlier, I think the defense in depth that you're talking about, it all goes back to threat modeling, right? At each layer, that
Yes,
how what is the worst that can happen at the model layer or application layer or the chat interface that you're providing, let's say, or
right.
co-pilot experience. At each layer, you do sort of threat modeling to find out what can go wrong, and then you work backwards from
Yep,
there. Uh, Now, you mentioned about social engineering attacks and things like that, right?
yep,
And there are so many social engineering attacks with videos, with emails that we see nowadays.
yes.
The entire threat landscape has changed, right?
Change.
So, how do you make your organization aware? What are some of the technical indicators that you look for when it comes to staying ahead of the attackers from an offensive perspective?
Um, you said it right. And if you look officially at its stats, Microsoft themselves has confirmed that they have seen a slight or not so slight 57% of uptick in having the phishing attempts. And those are very
Hmm.
sophisticated attempts against their environment, in their production environment. If that is happening with them, imagine what is happening on the general level. So
Hmm.
previously, you with your naked eyes could detect that okay, this looks phishing, and not to touch that. But those
Hmm.
differences is gone now. So people like you, me, who are at least a bit more tech aware, can find those cannot find those things anymore. The
Yeah.
difference, people are paying 25 million to fraudster just because they heard a mail or they heard a video recording of their CFO
Yeah.
saying that things are happening.
Hmm.
Those are all things happening. But as these offensive or malicious actors have got some capabilities, we on the defending side needs to have some more capabilities as well. We need to have machine learning models for detecting these things faster. We need to have
Hmm.
certain kind of automations created. Imagine the attack surface monitoring thing. There were
Hmm.
previously some bug bounty researchers who would create some easy automations to detect subdomain dangling, some easy kind of secret scanning, some basic workflows, and they would create
Hmm.
those automations. They would report those bug bounty submissions very automatically and very fast. Imagine the same kind of attack surface monitoring within machine learning model out there,
Hmm.
constantly looking at your organization's attack surface, looking for the easy or low hanging fruit, subdomain dangling, and these kind of cases, and then reports back. Even goes one step ahead and then takes some corrective actions, notifies the teams, or reduces or revokes some secrets, or disable some repos. Some of those activities can be done on these, you know, protection side as well, or the defending side as well.
Hmm.
These capabilities are improving on the defending side as well, but
Hmm.
that goes on engineer again, the capabilities on the organizations, like how fast they're evolving, how fast they're seeing these kind of attacks, and how fast they're
Right.
automating these kind of detection in their environment.
Hmm.
So to cut short, what I'm trying to say is that yes, the any technology you create, the malicious actors grow capable faster. Then comes the defending capabilities. Now we are
Yeah.
evolving. We are going there, and it will take some time, but we are already there. There needs to be a bit more awareness in the industry as a whole about AI security and AI defense mechanism. That needs to be a bit more sync between the companies and organizations about these kind of attacks and the threat intel to
Mhm.
protect faster. So that I believe will be happening in some more months or years.
In coming months. Okay, so we, when it comes to AI, as you pointed out, right, like the attackers move fast. So if we can, the same technology can be leveraged on both, from
The
attacker
attack and the
side, also
defense.
from defense.
Yeah.
So when it comes to defense, any recommendations you have, that, or anything that you have observed how AI is transforming the threat detection response capabilities or secure SDLC? What patterns are you noticing when it comes to AI and from a defensive perspective?
Yeah. One example, let's take, right? One example
Hmm.
from security operations environment. Previously, there used to be a security analyst sitting on their machine, getting an alert from the CM system,
Hmm.
going
Hmm.
into the CM system, analyzing that attack, and then creating the, okay, this is true positive, false positive, then goes back to the same cycle again and again. Now with the
Hmm.
AI in the mix, what we can do, there's just one use case which I'm talking about.
Hmm.
The majority of this task where identification of the false positive and true positive can be done with the added context to these models. Right? That is one thing. We can increase the rate of detection, the quality of detection, quality of signals coming in from these data lakes, from these CM systems, for example. The false positives will be reduced. The quality of security engineers engagement will be improving.
Hmm.
He can go back and do some more important quality work. So that's one example.
Hmm.
Then you see from security testing point of view, or in the SDLC point of view, we I have personally seen that threat modeling has been the use cases in threat modeling itself, from collecting the threat scenarios, from creating the diagrams, from creating the automated kind of for the action plans, that has improved the quality of engineers and in engineering alignment, right? So the things which used to take, like, let's say 4 hours previously, have just been in 1 hour or 30 minutes now. You just sit together
Yeah.
and then agree on things and then move on. That
Hmm.
is another example. In the security testing within the CI/CD pipelines, there are some automated generated security testing nowadays where you can just know that, okay, these are the security testing. Do that. Secure code reviews are getting easier for that matter. All these
Hmm.
things are improving the defensive security side. They're just some example, but
Right.
again, it goes to the defending team. What use cases they find, how can they automate, what can they think of creating those opportunities where they can detect faster, respond faster, contain faster, recover faster. All those things can happen with these different use cases. So it goes beyond, the opportunities are endless, right? If you
Hmm.
imagine, if you know what to do, you can improve in your environment. So that's how I see.
So, last question on the defense. You said that we, like the quality of data, quality of signals, are much better. So those, let's say I'm taking the first use case that you gave, right? The SOC analysts are more
Yes.
productive. Now, are we heading in a direction where we would not even need SOC analysts in future, because AI can do all of the, like, not only it gets the alert, it looks at the signals, takes an action. Are we heading in that direction?
On the contrary, um,
Okay.
we yes, as I said, the quality of alerts and the signals will improve for sure, but the alert um, kind of alert frequency is not reducing. So the more alert or the more attacks will be coming in from various directions. There
Hmm.
needs to be some human checks on these things. Let's say we detected one alert. Yes, there were false positive and true positives in traditional environment, but there will be false positive and true positives in AI native environments as well. So there needs to be certain human checks in there as well. There needs to be certain quality checks in how how fast we involve. how fast we involve which person, which team, and how fast we involve. Is this going into the right direction? Is this the right way to respond to this incident, and so on? So there would be some quality checks as well. And what matters most, I've been saying, the context will be king. The more AI adoption
Hmm.
happens, the context will be king. So your human SOC analyst will be kind of um, enabling themselves with that contextual knowledge of your organization.
Hmm.
So the more context they have, the better they can target those signals, the better they can improve the security quality of your environment. So that's how I see that. Yes, the number of signals might reduce, but the quality of engagement, the quality of work which SOC analyst will be doing will be improving further.
Okay.
Right now, if you see, majority of the SOC memes are about that, SOC engineers are laden with the tons of false positives and these alerts which are
True.
not making any sense. That will
True.
change.
Makes sense. Yeah. So human in the loop in a way, right?
Yes.
So there is hope for humans to continue. It's not that AI is taking over everything.
Oh, I think you have seen this DEF CON, right?
Mm-hmm.
Genity Labs has basically ensured that humans are you know humans are there in the loops, because
Hmm.
all these scenarios which we were thinking in our heads, that how AI could be disastrous,
Mm-hmm.
Zenity Labs and some other players and DEF CON as well, they have proved, they have literally materialized those attacks and those scenarios, and now people are thinking that yes, we need to think about security in the AI landscape as well. So yeah.
Oh, amazing. Uh, yeah. So with that note, we come to the end of the security questions.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ashish, for the engaging conversation. Here are a few points which stood out for me. The first one is secure SDLC is as much a cultural challenge as a process or a tools challenge. Having a strong champions program helps with alignment of security objectives. The second one is engage early with other teams and stakeholders in the development cycle. This will ensure that security is not an afterthought, rather it's baked into the SDLC process right from the beginning. The last one is in the AI world, threat modeling is important. This ensures security is integrated the right way into each layer of AI application stack, including models, data, and applications and others. Thank you. But before I let you go, I have one last question, which is: do you have any learning recommendations? I know that you have already mentioned about the security partnership book from Jason Chen and the Phoenix Project, but any other books or blogs or podcasts that you would recommend our audience?
uh, yes, some. There is one book called Art of War by Sun Tzu. I can't. Art of War, with the writer,
Hmm.
traditional Chinese writer. Pretty good book. I love that book. The second is the Engineer's Guidebook by Gurgley, my ex-colleague at Skype. Um, but he also writes the Pragmatic Engineer blog, and he also hosts a podcast. I believe that one book and his blog, The Pragmatic Engineer, will actually keep you ahead in the engineering world. So you should definitely kind of, as an engineer, I would highly recommend to just having that, read that blog and that book for sure. From security specific, there is a blog from Clint Glaver. He writes
Hmm.
these newsletters and these blogs. He
TLDR security.
TLDR security. He collates. If you just read that one blog, every new release, I think you are 90% aware of what's going in the security world. He has sections about tools, he has section about what new vulnerabilities and when things are going on. So I generally have a culture and a push within my team where we are on week we are talking about what we have been reading, what kind of new things we learn, or what new books we are targeting for. So I'm a huge kind of first, I'm a huge admirer of these books and these blogs. So that's why I would recommend them.
Hmm. So yeah, I also follow Clint Gibler's
TLDR
TLDR sec,
security, yeah.
and also I'm subscribed to Pragmatic Engineering blog post as well. And yeah, I they're amazing. They at least keep you ahead of, or keep you in the loop of what's going on from a security standpoint, from an engineering
From
standpoint. So yeah,
engineering point
absolutely.
of I
Yeah.
literally anyone who joins my team, I gift them the engineer's guidebook book just to read and get on the same page. My expectations from their expectations from me as a manager. So
Hmm.
this already makes them a certain kind of matured engineers that what they can expect and what is being expected from them. So that level of alignment is very good, and people who have learned is they have become better person and engineers for sure. That's why I recommend them.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we publish this episode, we'll also add it to the show notes so that our audience can go in and purchase the book, subscribe to the blog post, and learn for themselves as well.
Cheers.
So with that, thank you so much, Ashish, for joining, and it was a wonderful conversation. And yeah, thank you for coming.
Puru, pleasure was all mine. I loved talking to you, and thank you so much for having me here. It was a pleasure.
Yes, absolutely. And to our audience, thank you so much for watching. See you in the next episode.
Thank you.